Good, very, very hot afternoon, Santa Clarita. You are listening to the Doc and Doc Show, and we are live. We are inviting you into our offices. Hey, you get all of this information for free. I'm Dr. Judith Curts. I'm a clinical sexologist and psychotherapist, and my colleague is right here next to me, Dr. Gregory Jenkins, who is an internist and is an amazing, amazing physician. So we're here to talk to you about whatever you would like as far as health, relationships, sexuality. And some of you now, we're so excited, are emailing us with your questions. So we're delighted, and we're going to take those emails first, and then we're going to talk to you about other issues. I'm going to talk a little bit about what is sex therapy and who goes, and Dr. Jenkins is going to address dyspareunia. Do you know what that is? We hear a lot about ED, but we don't hear a lot about that. So stay tuned and listen. Our phone number is 298-5487, 298-5487. Why don't you take the first question?
Okay, here's the first question. It's from Cindy from Canyon Country, and I apologize, we just received those today, and we're going to talk to somebody in the management here. Is that you guys on the table?
It's just
about getting these questions when they occur, so that we don't get them a week later, and I don't know, maybe it's 5 weeks later. But this is from Cindy from Canyon Country, and her question said, how can I boost my libido? It is hurting my relationship with my husband. So she's asking, how can I increase my sex drive, basically, and she doesn't want to break up with her husband over it. So, Dr. Curts, what do you think?
Well, of course, that's a perfect reason to go to a sex therapist. But how can you boost your libido? Number one, you can take some responsibility for your own libido and figure out what turns you on. I would suggest a lot of reading to find out what really excites you. The head and the heart are the two places that get women excited and increase their libido. You've got to eat well, you've got to be healthy too, and take good care of yourself to have a higher libido, some exercise perhaps, and knowing that you're not going to act like the women that we see on TV that are just instantly aroused, and that's just all for TV. There are a few wonderful books out there to read about sexual fantasies. There's one that was written years ago called My Secret Garden by Nancy, and I've forgotten her last name, but My Secret Garden, and she did research with all of the women in the United States who wrote in about what turns them on, their fantasies. You're going to read it, and some of them will say, oh my gosh, that is awful. And some you'll say, wow, I kind of like that. So I think you have to find out what turns you on first. Dr. Jenkins, do you have some suggestions?
Yeah, medically, there's what makes relationships work well, I should say, is when you increase the oxytocin. And don't forget, the oxytocin is one of the hormones that is produced, and it's especially produced by mothers when they breastfeed. So you can increase it at today's time by just doing touching and caressing and kissing and holding hands. And also, there are certain things that they can help it some too, because like red wine, instead of champagne or white wine, increases vaginal lubrication and increases desire. I'm not talking about a bottle, I'm talking about one glass.
Oh, you sure?
And that was proven in the Journal of Sexual Medicine.
Yes.
So we have legitimacy for that.
Legitimate.
And some of the other things that they've suggested is that you're more excited when men wear red.
Now, I haven't heard that one,
Yeah.
So tell me about that,
Because,
when men wear red.
Well, what the researchers found is they think that when men wear red, that it increases their look of having more status or more power, and that is a turn-on for some women. It's probably in that book you told me about.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I want to know. I mean, we're going to go outside and see all these men tomorrow in bright red, wearing their red suits. But I think you're right on when you talk about the oxytocin, and I don't think couples get enough touching or intimacy, and that's what women complain about the most. And I hope I say this every week, that women, to get excited, need a minimum of 20 minutes of foreplay, touching, talking, touching not even in genital areas, and it can move on to that, but just a lot of caring, and I think that does increase the oxytocin.
Yeah, and also medically, it has been proven that zinc, the mineral zinc, because I said oxytocin works, but you can't really buy oxytocin pills.
No.
But you can buy zinc, which is a precursor for oxytocin. And you can buy those in vitamins, or you can eat in sesame seeds, they have them. So anything that increases, anything that has zinc in it can increase that. And some of the men's health formulas that men take for prostate swelling and sexual improvement, they all have zinc in them. So there are some helpers out there if anybody's looking for that.
And Cindy, talk to your partner about that. You're not expected to perform at a moment's notice, but I think when you all can start talking, and that's how a sex therapist can be helpful, can bring this up and give you permission to talk about this and how you're feeling and what you're needing, what you're not getting, without blaming, without being negative, but talk about it in a positive and very fun way. So I hope we've given you some help, and I hope your husband will be wearing red tomorrow, or tonight. So, get him some red pajamas. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, the other thing I was going to tell you about is that there's some research that shows that, and I know you probably all know this, because when a certain person smells good, now whether it's perfume or soap or just their natural body odor, that is a real turn-on for a lot of people. So some people suggest that you take your partner's clothing and just smell it, sniff it, and you can smell and you can feel the person in your room at the same time.
That sounds good.
That is good, and that's pretty inexpensive.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so Cindy, if you have any questions, please call us back. We're on the phone here at 298-5487, AM 1220. Just give us a call back. The phone lines are open.
I have a question for you from Roger from Canyon County. Roger says, is it smart to keep taking the blue pill, and how often is it healthy to take?
Well, you can take the blue pill as much as you want, as long as your heart is good, because blue pills can cause heart attacks. So if you have any kind of heart disease, you really should make sure your heart is good before you can do that. The usual dose of Viagra is between 25 and 100 milligrams. Most adults, most men, I should say, they take 50 milligrams. And that's a real common dose. What the men will do is they'll buy the 100 milligram pills, because they're the same price as the 50 milligram pills and the 25 milligram pills, and they will separate them, cut them in half, and use half of them. But you can go all the way up to 200 milligrams if you're having problems with the Viagra and it's not working for you. But also all the side effects from the medicine is doubly increased. So there's more chance of having red face, stuffiness, nausea. And in the study that was done, 47% of the men dropped out of the study because they didn't like the side effects at the high dose. So I don't think it's going to be a regular thing for most people. But some men become refractive to the medicine and just won't work for them.
And would they, instead of the blue pill, I know there are other pills, do they differ? Like, is Levitra different from Viagra, Cialis?
The medicines all are in the same family. There's three of them. There's Cialis, Levitra, and Viagra. So technically the very safest one is the Cialis. Because Cialis, the way the medicines work, it hooks on the receptors in the target organ, as they call it, which we know is the penis. But they hook on the receptors, and Cialis has the least amount of receptors, but it works the best because it has the least amount of side effects. The other way around, Viagra has the most side effects. So there goes our chance of getting a sponsor.
Oh, well. Well, I don't know. You did pretty well with Cialis.
Okay.
All right. We might get them. So Cialis people, we're up for hire. I'm hearing that a lot of the millennials or younger men in the 20s and 30s are taking Viagra just before a date, just to make sure.
That's exactly right, because it's a performance anxiety tissue. Performance anxiety time for a lot of millennials, because they're went to the best schools and they have the best cars and have the best this and that, and they want the best doctors, and they want the best erection. So they sometimes will take that medicine. They usually get it from their doctor or they just order it. You can order it in the mail. You don't have to have a prescription for them.
All right. So Roger, I hope that helped you. I truly do. Here is Denise from Saugus. And Denise says, I've been told eating certain foods will help my sex drive. And what are the foods that you recommend?
Well, I recommend you don't. It's easier to tell you the things not to have. And that's going to be real easy. You can't have any baked goods and dairy because they decrease the zinc and the oxytocin. A lot of alcohol makes it worse, so you can't really function correctly. Any of the fatty foods, including the steaks and things like that, you shouldn't have. Now, on the good side, all you have to do is go into the supermarket and go to the produce department, and you'll find a whole bunch of things that help you. Avocados, almonds, sweet potatoes, strawberries, blackberries, watermelon, lettuce, eggs, ginger, ginseng. All of those things work great for you.
And that's a Whole30 diet.
That's right, a Whole30 diet.
That's the popular diet now, is the Whole30. Sounds delicious.
So really, it sounds like you just have your glass of red wine, which I mentioned earlier, and a fruit salad, and you'd be all ready to go.
And there you are. Let me just add to that. I think we've talked about aphrodisiacs in terms of food, and sometimes if you think it works, it works. But really, I think taking the healthy approach, and you feel good, you don't feel bloated and, oh, I can't believe I ate that piece of pie or that ice cream or something, because that does make you feel bad, and then you're not going to want to get bawdy. So Tessie from Santa Clarita says, why do I have trouble obtaining orgasm when we make love? Is there something I can do psychologically to assist? Are there a lot of other women who also have this problem? And I am so glad you asked that, because most of the people who come to me always think they're the only one, and they're not. A lot of women are certainly having this problem, so you are not. There's nothing wrong with you in terms of oh my gosh, I'm the only one. You're not. And you have to get into, once again, what turns you on. And even if it's something that you might judge as a little kinky, it doesn't matter, because your partner cannot read your mind. So let your mind just go wherever you want. And I also suggest for women self-pleasuring, and find out where you feel good and what feels good, and don't put pressure to have a vaginal orgasm. Only 33% of women can have that. Most women need clitoral stimulation and can have clitoral orgasms fairly easy. So you can certainly get a toy, or just be with yourself and your fantasies, and find out what turns you on. And I think you'll have some luck there, and keep trying, because if you don't use it, you lose it, and that's a very sad thing. We don't want you to lose it, Tessie.
So you're talking about, Tessie, right here, you're talking about maybe examining yourself to find the pleasure spot, and
Yes.
for each individual person, because they're all different.
And relax.
Yeah.
Yes, all women are to find out what turns you on. Some, like certain touches in certain places. Others can't stand that. So there's nothing wrong with you. Find out what is unique for you and stand by that, because nobody should tell you that you're wrong. You're not.
And it doesn't have to be naked. You can have your clothes on. You can figure out exactly what somebody does. And I had a friend once, and I asked him, well, how did you find her, and how did you pick her, and why did you like her? And you know what he said? He says, when she turned her head to talk to me, the hair flew around kind of like that. It's kind of around the front of her face, and she looked so sexy. I knew that she was the one for me.
Wow.
And I thought, wow.
Well, that happens. That happens. Certain different things turn different people on.
Right.
And you have to see what that is. So it isn't any definition. This is what turns you on. And the pressure, I think, that we put on ourselves sexually is so very sad. We've got to relax and have some fun with it, and you're not going to be wrong. Whatever you're doing is going to be fun, so enjoy it. This is going to keep you healthier, happier, better attitude. What do
That's
you
right,
think?
and you'll live longer.
You absolutely will. Having more sex will lower your blood pressure. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And keep the stress away. So, I mean, why not? Why not? And it's there for that reason, not just to procreate. Used to be just to procreate, I suppose. Well, when we only lived till we were 20 years old or something.
That's right, yeah. So I think that through the audience, I want to make sure that you know that you can email us. It's completely anonymous, and you just send it to doc@hometownstation.com, and we'll work with the management here to try to get these questions to us sooner so we can answer them on the air, but also we'll send you a email message sent, with a response to it. And so I think also maybe what we should do is tell people about what we're going to talk about in the next segment, because we're going to be going off here in a few minutes. We're going to talk about sexual therapy and the kind of things that Dr. Curts does in her office in Beverly Hills and up here. So they have this system of how to do therapy, and it's called the PLISSIT. Plicit. Is that
The plicit.
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 It's almost like explicit, but this
Yes.
is plicit.
Yes.
So, Doctor, just maybe give a quick intro on that.
I'll be happy to. And it's what I've always done. This kind of names it, but then, we always have to have names for things. The P implicit is for permission. I always say sex therapy is about permission and education. And so permission is we make the environment so that you're comfortable talking about your sexual issues. I mean, it is so easy when you come to my office. I promise you, you don't have to know how to do this. I do. I know the right questions. And it is permissive to talk about anything you want, no judgment. And then there's limited information. Sometimes you go to your physician and they give you a brochure. Well, here's what you need to know about that. I don't do that. I think it's kind of limited. I write my own information to give to people. And the next is the SS, specific suggestions, and that's doing certain activities, sensate focus that Masters and Johnson are so popular for, and IT, implicit, is for intense therapy. I go for intense therapy. I like it. Let's talk about what's underneath all this so that we know. And it's couples therapy, whatever you think, but couples therapy with a qualified sex therapist. So I hope that's helped. Plicit, and then in the next segment, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons people seek out sex therapy so that you'll feel like, hey, that could be me. I could do that instead of somebody that goes there, oh, there's something terribly wrong. Actually, my thought is there's something very right, because you're saying, I want my life to be better. I want my sex life to be better. I want to feel more vital. So, and truly, in my office, we have a lot of fun. It's easy, and we talk.
And I'd like to say that I think this is an interesting tidbit is that I went to school in St. Louis, the Washington University, St. Louis, and Masters and Johnson did a lot of their research right there on campus, and they would come and give lectures to them. And I was sitting back there as a young know-it-all kid saying, what are these old people talking about sex and stuff? What do they know, And now we're talking about it on the radio show.
And now here these 2 old people are talking to you about, and we know a lot. We really do. We really do.
But we're going to get ready to go out on a break again here. So we're at the Doc and Doc show at AM 1220. KHTS, and you can call us directly here at 298-5487. We're going to take a short break and be right back. Thank you.